Well, here we are, Steve. Welcome to
Thank
Real
you.
Talk at the ERA Conference 2022.
Well, that's great. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing? How's everything for you at the conference? How do you feel about having an in-person
Well, I
event after a
think
couple of years?
this is great. For us, it's raising an awareness, and as we move down the path of digital transformation.
Well, tell us a little about who you represent, who you work working with.
So
right
I'm
now.
a special advisor to CalcuQuote. Prior to that, in my first retirement, I spent 15 years as the vice president of supply chain at Digi-Key. So I bring a lot of experience, 48 years in the business, to CalcuQuote and their solution to a lot of issues that the EMS world and the world in general has as far as electronic components. So it's been a lot of fun for me in the year and a half that I've done it. I get to do a lot of the fun stuff and not have to deal with a lot of the other issues that the industry has. So it's been really good.
Yeah, no, that's great. So with CalcuQuote, I know because right now technology is at the forefront, software, intelligence, and process. What is CalcuQuote doing to mitigate that gap between the supply chain?
So I think one of the things about CalcuQuote is it fills a gap between what was done manually and automation. We continually hear about the phrase the new normal. Well, the new normal was starting long before COVID. And, companies don't have the time or the money to do what they did 20 years ago. So now the new normal is everybody's trying to do more with less. So as we go down that road, automation becomes a bigger part of that. No one has the time to, sit down and have a cup of coffee and a donut and all those things like we used to do years ago. So everybody, uses automation so that they can, better, cheaper, faster has always been the mantra, and that just continues to go down there, and that's what CalcuQuote's all about.
Yeah, I mean that comes because the whole chain, especially the three pillars that we talk about being your ERA, the distributor, the rep, and the manufacturer, is critical and vital to the industry. But now through technology and through the advancement of this technology revolution, and ignited by the pandemic of pushing everything to be automated process intelligence, really what is your thoughts about, because my big thing is kind of democratizing that supply chain.
Well, I think, and you're absolutely right, the three pillars I don't think, will go away.
Yeah.
I think the way that the three pillars will go out and do their business may change over that.
Correct.
So, an awareness of how customers want to deal with, the design world, how they want to deal with the supply world, and what suppliers they want to deal with is all going to change, and it's all going to be the exchange of data. How quickly can you get the data? And talked about the democratization of data. Some data can be democratized. I mean, data that's out in the general public, it should be able to be just, spread around easily, and the person that can get that into the right hands faster, they're going to be better off. Obviously, proprietary data is not going to be done that, and that should be taken care of and safeguarded. But data that's in the public domain, can be, shifted around and move from one to the other to help speed along the process. Design cycles have gotten shorter. We've gone through the last year and a half or so of material shortages. I mean, that's not going to last forever, but we should learn from that so that we get into what will be the new normal times. We can learn about how to move data, how we can move product faster, and we can serve our customers better.
And that's what comes down to the data. I think the biggest thing for this day is using companies who use their data intelligence better than they were before. Not just basic Excel sheets and just keep moving forward, but using the historical and then with the future forecast to be able to tie up of what really we're doing. Because and I know CalcuQuote has software that can mitigate that gap and help companies do that.
Absolutely, and we've all heard that we generate more data in a day than we did in 10 years before. So, what data is important? how we use that data, how we move it, how we, utilize it for, the best effort that we can put forward.
Yeah, of course, and I think that's really the push front for the technology versus it's change, and people don't. The disruption is there because disruption and the data in the B2C world, now B2B, and using manufacturing world, which is very traditional based, now to put a more technology advanced base with the systems, websites talking to each other, instant information intelligence, and just like you said, bills and materials. Like, how do we get information and data from intelligence from those, from different
Absolutely,
projects?
and the disruption that we've seen, when you're in the middle of it, it looks like the world is collapsing, but we're going to gain a lot of knowledge out of the disruption and how to do things and how to, put forth a better effort when times either get like they are now or they normalize out and they get to be, a regular environment.
Yeah, regular environment. We don't know, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 down, so things, but it's exciting that we're in that technological revolution where products, all the 5G, the telecom, the medical, the EV space, everything's being accelerated right now. And we're using, as you know yourself, from the data, we're using more components than we ever have.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at just like the automotive market, 10 years ago, a car maybe used 300 or 400 capacitors. Now they use 30,000 capacitors for all of the systems that are in a car, and that goes forward. And we're not even talking about the products that haven't even been invented yet. We're going to go down a road where there's more and more electronics and more different products, and that's just going to accelerate everything.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and it's exciting, but it's also what is in store, and then people adapting for that disruption, and also the industry's changing because all industries are changing. Manufacturing's changing, logistics, everything's going through the process.
Absolutely, and how they talk to each other and how they move data between the two is going to decide who wins and who loses.
Yes, I mean, there's a lot going on, geopolitical issues, countries, onshore, offshore, a lot of, but there's also data there, and it's also to use that data to make better calculated decision to improve the efficiency. And our days that the software and systems, we have to, again, in my opinion, it's like technology balance, like using software, but reducing the amount of error.
Absolutely, and data is going to be king.
Yeah, and data is king, and that's the intelligence that we're going to live with. Yeah,
absolutely.
Because the most valuable companies today, as people know, is like Google, Facebook, Tesla. They are Apple. They have all the data because they're valuable. And that's because technology, because they have data. And
that's
they
right.
Understand what's going on. And that's what we have a lot of data in the industry. I think we're just in that disruption. It's like, okay, let's use that intelligence. I know the tier one guys could have a lot of data, but the second tier, third tier manufacturers, they don't know because they're just good at manufacturing, filling a board or making a product.
Well, the second and third tier manufacturers, if you add up the volume of that, they may even approach the amount of manufacturing that a tier one manufacturer does, and they fill a lot of gaps, especially in the higher tech products, medical products, etc. That it's not like going to Walmart and buying a modem that's made someplace in a low cost area. So mid tier manufacturers have a lot to gain from this whole thing. And it all, how we, what we do with the data.
Yeah, I love it. So, what was your big? I mean, right now we're going on the final day. What's your big takeaways of the conference?
I think that there's an awareness building. It's maybe not there yet, but an awareness building that the way that the manufacturers' reps did business in the past probably will not be the way they do business in the future. And so, what that's going to be and how that's going to look, I don't think anybody knows yet, but it's certainly not going to be the way that it was done 10 or 20 years ago. And so the awareness is going to build what do we have to do and what's going to work and what's going to not. Some of it's going to be trial and error, and some of it's going to be, a set strategy that we need to move along. And as time goes on, the awareness is going to build and we will move along.
I love it. Well, thank you, Steve, for coming on the Real Talk. Thank you for sharing your thought leadership, wisdom, everything you have. And I know you're critical. I mean, again, this is information that we all need to share and work collaboratively together and grow together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.